Hello, everyone. If you really knew me, you would know that hitting record right now without having everything fully scripted and prepped is causing some uneasiness and feelings of being uncomfortable in my body. Like the hair on my arms is standing up right now. Interesting. Haven't noticed that before when anxiety sets in. So I was encouraged, challenged by my own coach to provide an update. And so this is a personal update. I'm trying to stay connected to my truth, my authentic self, and not pretend, not project, not try to prove or perform in any way, shape, or form, but to show up trusting that what wants to emerge through me will emerge through me in this video that's about a personal update in my life. A lot of things have happened in my life in the last 12 months. I just turned 47 last week on Thursday, which is why I'm reflecting on the last 12 months in that framework and what I did in kind of preparation. And I do this every year for my birthday. I hit it from a different angle, but I basically take stock on the year, where I'm at in relationship to my goals, to my satisfaction in life, in love, in career, in finances, lifestyle, you name it. I take stock. And this year I decided I want to be the author of my life, right? And if I'm writing a story of my life, what if the last 12 months, chapter 47, year 47, what if that was a chapter in the book that I'm writing in my 100 chapter book, if you will, hopefully 100 chapter book? What would the title of the last 12 months be? What would the title of chapter 47 be? And as I reflected, the first thing that came up was endings. There was tons of death, there was dying, loss of friendships, loss of jobs, loss of friend, loss of roles, identity, you name it. Lots of death, dying, loss in the last 12 months. Most recently, my mom died June 26th, not that long ago. And on my birthday, my mom's sister, my aunt, died. Those are just two deaths this year. So I thought endings was an appropriate title. And as I was reflecting this morning, I think a more appropriate title for chapter 47 is Unraveling through Endings. Something has unlocked in me in the last couple of weeks, and it is it's the unlocking of, like, you know, back in July of 2020, things that were occurring was like, you know, part of the, if you had a, you know, like a bike lock where it has like the code, it's like one number set in July when I lost a really important friendship in my life. They didn't die, but the friendship is no longer what it once was, and it ended. And so that was like one key or one part of the code of the lock, if you will. In September, a friend of mine died, and that friend of mine, you know, we had moments that were very, very impactful together. It was a meaningful relationship. And that was another kind of unlocking. And then in October, my dad is retiring from his job, and a whole bunch of stuff came up in that experience too. He's, I think he would even say, a self-identified workaholic. Much of his life has been dedicated to his passion, his work, what he feels like he's on the planet to do. And there was a cost to that. in his relationship with the people that mattered most to him. And so to be a part of that was truly an ending and an unraveling of, expectations around relationship in him and I, and what I noticed and what he created externally with the world that maybe wasn't there with me, which is, I am so grateful for it. It was definitely an unraveling and an unlocking and an ending as he retires and transitions into retirement, and being able to witness the relationships and the impact that he had, and also the cost that he paid to create that. Then loss of job. I'm going to stop right there. Not share any more about that, but loss of job immediately after that. Then aunt dies, mom dies, another aunt dies, lots of unraveling. And what's really fascinating is most recently, with the death of my mom, all of a sudden it's been so crazy. My mom and I would say there was this, it was like most of us, right? Not the healthiest of relationships, but so grateful for it, and healing from it. And also with her death, there was almost like this permission slip to now be authentically me. And if I'm honest, like, I don't even know who the fuck that is. There are parts of me that know who the real me is, but with her death, all of a sudden it unlocked like how I have been showing up in all of my relationships without boundaries, really trying to people please, to be a good girl, to be able to receive love, to be able to fit in, to be able to be accepted. Started from the ages of 2. I can remember an incident with my mom at the age of 2. So this has created a lot of pain, and through pain is the healing. As this year, I would say that the unraveling and the endings have really been more transformative because of my willingness, with the help of my coach and the support of a community that I'm a part of. You're watching right now, HB, you know who you are. That I've been feeling, instead of avoiding what emotions are coming up, I've been feeling my way through this unraveling and truly starting to understand what they mean when they say it's, the healing comes through the feeling. We feel our way to heal our way. So chapter 47, wow, thank you. The endings, the unraveling, feeling my way through endings. And so that's where I'm at right now. And part of my taking stock then is to look forward to the next 12 months as I reflect on my birthday, writing chapter 48, what that title might be. And for me, what's coming up right now for the title for chapter 48 is coming home. Coming home to my truest, most authentic self, chapter 48. And it's about connecting to my inner child. It's about understanding who I am, what I want from life, and what I'm here to do. And there's this evolving kind of framework for living a great life that I've been playing around with. And at the core of that framework is the core operating system. And if we truly want to live a really, really meaningful, joy-filled life, it's built from this core operating system. And that core operating system is knowing exactly who you are, what you want, and what you're here to do. That's the core operating system of living a really, really great life. To be a conscious creator in your life, to not just be playing out the roles we've been assigned, and not just responding to life or reacting to life with these conditioned habits and patterns that we were taught from a very, very young age by those that we love and those that are around us, and from our teachers, from our classmates, from society, from our family, from the jobs we do, the work we do, that have conditioned us to show up in a way that is not always authentic to who we are. So one thing that's been really resonating with me lately is that Brene Brown talks about, as we come home, that's my own language, as I come home to my truth, to my authentic being, there's a part of me that loses connection to my authentic self by trying to fit in, by pretending or performing or showing up in a way that would make the group like me, to not cause any ruffles, to not make any waves, to be just to fit in, to not make waves, to keep the peace, while then also severing like the disconnect from my truth, my authentic self, that I'm not showing up in a way that is authentic to my truth, to my, what are my needs, what are my wants, what do I love, disconnecting from that. That's one way we lose connection to our authentic self. And then the other way is by trying to not fit in, to purposely protect yourself, to not fit in, because you're so determined to not fit in, to live your truth, that you rebel against what everybody is doing, not realizing that there's actually aspects of what others are doing and what other people are thinking and saying actually do align with your truth, but you're so adamant and about not fitting in and using that as a way to protect yourself, which is, my people pleasing was a way to protect myself, to fit in. The opposite of that is true also, is that we tend to rebel and to go against the grain, just to go against the grain to protect ourselves, versus really trying to understand what's authentic and true for me. So chapter 47 has served as the most beautiful, painful, life-changing thus far year on the planet for me. Unraveling. The ashes, almost like the walls of the ego are starting to come, they've just not starting, maybe crashed down, maybe burned down. And so there's this, when my mom died, there was almost this immediate, I'm not gonna put up with your fucking bullshit anymore, people. Some of the way people showed up for me during that experience were very self-absorbed and would have caused me to go into this, would normally trigger me, which it did trigger me, but I was trying to be consciously aware of oh wow, that's interesting. I see myself wanting to people please here and do what they want versus doing what I need right now with the loss of my mom, right? And not only what I need right now with the loss of my mom, just the stacking of all of the transitions and changes that have occurred in my life in the last 12 months. So this year, I'm so grateful for it. And I'm still processing everything that has happened in chapter 47 of the book. So before starting to write chapter 48, I'm allowing myself to just pause right now and create more awareness and space for that awareness. When I tend to be triggered into numbing, to not wanting to feel, to feeling my way through this, right? To really feel it, allow myself to cry on video, to allow myself to experience pain and to be okay in pain. I was a good girl. I didn't want to make other people feel uncomfortable with my tears, with my sadness, with my anger. Good girls don't get angry. And you know what? there are things that happened in my childhood that I have every right to experience anger around. There were some injustices there that I'm now becoming aware of. There are, there are things that occurred that caused such intense disappointment that I have every right to grieve that, to be sad about that. As a child, I didn't have the emotional maturity or the conditions to be able to tap into that and to better understand those things. I was actually, so concerned about pleasing others and being a good girl so I could be worthy of their love and not cause problems that I didn't allow myself to experience anger, really, unless I got to the point with my most intimate partners where I just freaking lost it, and that's not experiencing anger. That's being consumed by anger, right? So I'm learning now, not just the mental ability to learn now that it's okay to be angry, but to actually practice the experience of feeling angry, feeling it and not being consumed by it, to feel disappointment and not being consumed by it, to not let my conditioned patterns and behaviors and habits of thinking and speaking keep me from feeling what is true for me. And yeah, I kind of lost my way right there, but anyways, this is the update. This is where I'm at. If you're watching this right now, thank you for being a part of my healing by allowing me the space to express what has happened for me in the last 12 months, what I have experienced in the last 12 months. And thank you to my coach and the community he's created, where it's okay to, not only okay, but it's encouraged to show up messy, to stay open a little longer. And that reminds me of something really, really critical about this year. One of the reasons I've been able to practice this experiencing emotions and not being consumed by them is something that happened back in August with my coach, of really truly starting to understand two things. Living my truth, I was approaching living my truth as a place to get to versus living my truth as a place to come from. Big difference. I was in my head trying to live my truth, and I still have the habit of doing that quite a bit because it's a lot easier to be in your head than in your heart. So living my truth, living from my truth, is actually coming from my authentic self. It's coming from my heart, which is sometimes scary, right? Which is why we're always protecting and performing. Another huge insight in August with my coach was my nervous system training and realizing, the fight or flight showing up when it showed up, and practicing that all year long with all of these different deaths and endings and losses in my life in the last 12 months is kind of like soothing myself through it, of just stay open a little longer. And what I mean by that is like stay open-hearted a little longer. I used to always, rather than do what one of my parent figures would do, which would be to come up swinging and fighting to protect themselves when they felt uncomfortable emotions, uncomfortable feelings. And I had another parent figure that would disassociate, isolate, withdraw. And I have a tendency in the last 20 years or so to withdraw, to isolate, rather than engage life, rather than to stay open to the experience of what is bubbling up in me right now, right? And the nervous system stuff, when that shows up, I had that tendency to pull back, to withdraw, to get small. And what he's been supporting me with is just staying open a little longer. I don't even have to say anything. Just stay open a little longer. Breathe into that uncomfortable feeling in my nervous system that's going into fight or flight, danger, danger, danger. Just stay open a little longer. And that has also helped me with the unraveling, and it's helping me process the unraveling of not just the last year, chapter 47, but the last 47 years. And laying the foundation for chapter 48 to come home. And when I think about that, for me, it feels like coming home for the first fucking time. It's very, very, very difficult for me right now to connect to the authentic me as a child before I was conditioned to be good, to be quiet because other people are working, to not have needs because other people have important jobs and more important relationships than being present at dinner. My needs were not as important as some of those other needs. And so I really disconnected from that at a very, very young age. Anyways, I don't know what I was saying, but again, thank you for watching. Much love. That's my update. I hope you're doing awesome wherever you're at, whatever you're doing. Stay open. Be brave. Much love. See you later. Bye.